she asked me questions as a trainer, and I ask her questions, and we go back and forth. And this is something that I think that we can continue once she decides and makes the announcement of what school she's going to attend, and then other players also. So basically, welcome back, Maya. Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Okay, I'm gonna start off first.
Okay.
Okay. In light of the current situation that we're in, as far as race relationships are concerned, what's your take on the whole overall Generation Z and how you guys have had an effect on change in the society in which we live in today? Woo! And I didn't read that. That's straight off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think like especially in this social and political climate, I really look up to everyone that's at the front lines of battling, like let's say both the coronavirus and the deep-rooted racial injustices that have been plaguing our country for hundreds of years. I think that my generation has been extremely vocal over the past year, especially during the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement. And more than anything, I've learned that like the most serious threat is not the hatred coming from the people who perpetrate prejudice, but our own silence in the face of this injustice. So I credit like the youth and those at the forefront of the movement for being powerful agents of change and helping me come to this realization. And I think what our generation is doing is just amazing, and it's going to have a domino effect. Like, although the case shouldn't be that this still has to go on, I think that we're making great strides. And I think if this continues and the vocality continues and the communication continues, we'll achieve great things, within the next few years to completely rid of racial injustice and prejudice. So that's
Okay.
the big hope.
That's a great answer. All right, your turn.
When you were deciding between schools and playing, I think over your course of playing basketball, like what do you think is the greatest gift basketball has brought to you on and off the court?
Well, basketball, and like all sports, provides you with an opportunity to understand the importance of teamwork, obviously working extremely hard, and then how you're going to get along with other people that may not be from your same environment. One thing about sports, it provides an opportunity where you can meet somebody from Toronto and understand his or her point of view on life and different vantage points that they're coming at you with, different vantage points. I think that's one thing that sports provides you. Obviously, the work ethic that's required to be a pretty good athlete or basketball player, in my case, is something that's very important. And all of these things that I'm mentioning are transferable to the real world when it's time to go get a job. Because most employers obviously like people that work hard, people that can socialize and deal with people that are from the different ilks, and then also how to overcome adversity. So I think the biggest things are overcome adversity, dealing with people that are not from the same area as you, and also understanding their points of view, or at least listening to their points of views, and obviously working extremely hard. So those are very, very, very good things that you need in sport provide for athletes.
Absolutely. I agree. I think basketball, like for me, also has just connected me with so many amazing people, all the coaches I've spoken to, and just all the girls that I've met through basketball. Basketball is a great equalizer. Like when you get on the court, like everyone's equal, everyone's, it's time to play. So I completely agree with you.
Okay, my turn. Being that you are a 6'2"-ish, 3-ish, stretch 4-ish, 5-ish, although you're young, who would you emulate? Who have you emulated your game after?
I'd say definitely Tim Duncan. I really appreciate his game because he's not the flashiest player, but he has sound old school fundamentals, which has made him arguably one of the best, if not the best, power forwards of all time. He's always in position, passed very well, worked on his shooting, and he can play in the post, which is, I think, such a great skill set to have. And I think if you have that skill set and if you have the fundamentals, you'll fit in, you'll be useful on any team, and you'll be able to produce a lot on any team. And I think he's a great player to emulate your game around, just like at any position really. because those fundamentals sometimes go unnoticed, and if you really start off with a lack of fundamentals, you can't really build upon anything to advance your game, and you can't expect to be a versatile player if you don't have the basics down. So yeah, definitely him.
Yeah, like you mentioned, he's arguably the best power forward of all time. That's a great one. I'm surprised you know who he is, being that you're a Generation Zer. But I appreciate the fact that you got a little history of this sport. Okay, my turn. Your turn. Your turn.
Where do you hope to be within the next 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah. All right, let's just make it 5 years.
10 years. 5 years. I hope that the company has a larger market share within New York City surrounding areas. I hope that at some point, when you think of basketball training, you think of team footprint, whether you come train with us or not, that you at least we're in the conversation. Similar to if you want a burger, you automatically think of McDonald's, but Burger King is in the equation at some point.
I love Burger King. Burger King up and coming, I'm telling you. Everyone sleeps on Burger King.
but the first thing you think about is McDonald's. But
yeah, you're right.
So I like to think that the company's headed that way in the next 5 years, hopefully, and then we can bring on more trainers who bring in that more vigor and inspire the next generation of basketball players, the generation that's coming behind you guys, where that we can just can continually grow, because it's always going to be basketball. There's always going to be players that need additional help. So we just feel that if we have a large market share, or at least a portion of it, we'll be successful as a company. Me personally, within the company, I would like to have more of a general manager responsibility and step on the court when need be. But it's time for me in 5 to 10 years, move upstairs and put on a suit and just come down and yell and call everybody a bum and get out the goddamn way and let the trainers do what they got to do. I just be in charge of player personnel and make HR complaints about the trainer being too hard. That's basically it. Those are our 5-year window goals.
Yeah, I mean, at the rate that you guys are going, I don't see why you can't reach that goal. And really, you do so much for the game of girls basketball especially. So I want to thank you for that. And I know you're definitely a conversation starter. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm cool with at least. I want to hear a fucking Mark. Like,
yeah.
That's what I want to hear. My turn. And this is a quick series, so we're not going to do a lot of questions like that. Most important keys that you decide for you to decide on a college, because you're a rising class of 21. And this has been a traumatic year as far as deciding on colleges and recruitment, the whole process. What are the key factors for you to decide on a college?
I think obviously coronavirus has impacted a lot on the decision making, especially in terms of being able to see campuses and whatnot. But I think even without COVID in question, the most important thing to look at in a school is looking at the school as if you're not playing basketball there, being satisfied with the school. If God forbid you get an injury, and you would be completely happy with attending if sports weren't a factor. I think that's super important, because I feel a lot of times girls and guys, really, they don't look at the fit. They look more so at the name of the school, or, the program's history, which, might be important to some people, but I think it's important to, it's education comes first and foremost. So especially for me, I was really big on high academics and a school that, and a coaching staff that will also prioritize your academics and make sure you can attend the classes that you need to get to where you want to be in those 10 years, 5 years. Because honestly, although it seems like a big decision right now, but I think it's an investment for your future, and where you really go to college is going to set you up for your future. So making those connections and finding a school that, will help you get to that next level is super important. So that was a big factor. Obviously, academics was number one for me, and a school that will help me get on track for my intended career path. I want to go into OT, so I looked into schools with very strong, let's say, science programs. But although I do want to go into OT, I have a lot of interests. So like schools with an open curriculum that will help me, explore my interests. And of course, basketball is a big factor as well. But I think those things are equally as important, if not a little bit more important.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Because the ball is going to stop bouncing at some point.
Absolutely.
And you got to have a little, backup plan, and education is probably the biggest key. So occupational therapy, are you open to anything else? This is off the topic, but are you open to anything else? Was that pretty much it?
Yeah. I'm open to other things, but I had a great experience interning at a camp and I was working with speech pathologists, occupational therapists, and social workers, and I absolutely loved it. I loved working with the young kids with different disabilities. I think it was just very heartwarming and fulfilling at the end of the day. I was super happy with with what I was doing. So I see myself in that, and I'm lucky to have found something that really makes me happy at this young of an age. But I'm pretty indecisive, so I'm still open to a lot of different things. Like I really enjoy graphic design. I'm taking a lot of classes like that in school right now for my senior year. So I'm really open to a lot of things, but I do have sort of a track that I'm planning to go on.
Got you. Okay. You're up.
How has the COVID situation impacted the company, and like what will you be implementing that you like done into the future, like having had adjusted to the coronavirus?
Yeah, when we first started this series, we were doing a lot of Zoom classes, and that's April, May, June of last year. But then parks opened up, and we were able to go into the park. So it adversely affected us in those months, because obviously we couldn't have that contact with players because everybody was afraid, rightfully so. But now that it's a little more open up, and people are able to go get tested and stuff, things of those natures. It's been very helpful as far as providing us with an opportunity to get back on track. That's number one. And number two, the biggest thing, we've actually gotten a little bigger company-wide, because it's allowed us as a company to sit back and assess where we were.
Right.
And then, focus a lot on different projects and also different social media opportunities. So on the court, obviously we were affected, but it helped us as far as making us sit our ass down and come up with different ways to reach the people. And that helped definitely with the Zoom calls and stuff like that. So with the ball handling classes. So we've gotten a little bigger as far as name recognition is concerned. But obviously it impacted us as well as the rest of the world, because it's been something that's been traumatic throughout the whole society.
Yeah. I think it's important that you said you had the time to reflect, because I feel like this has given people the opportunity to reflect on themselves, like both, business wise, sports wise. I feel like when we did the ball handling Zooms, like that was really good, consistent like work that I was putting in. So I think like over those few months, like you have like people and players were able to like, capitalize on that time, and, use time to their advantage and really get better over those few months. So I think it's also important to take that positive out of it.
One more thing to add on to what you said is it put it, and then it made me really get back in the gym as far as doing train by yourself stuff. Our other platform, where we're doing drills that you can do at home on your own without a trainer. I think we filmed maybe 5 seasons of that over the break, only because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But it's something that we want to provide for the players, because we feel that it's a situation where it's going to help us as far as our name is concerned, because we're giving back, but also more importantly, help the players that aren't able to reach a trainer. For instance, when you go to college next year and you're going through it right now, going through it physically and mentally, and you really don't want to deal with your coaches, you can just log on and then work on some of the drills that you know and you're familiar with a little bit. So that's going to help you as far as your mental capacity as well as your physical ability. So that's something that we really had the opportunity to do, largely due to the pandemic of 2020, 2021. So that's where we are. Okay, my last question. Wow. Where are you in 5 to 7 years as a player, maybe they'll make you a professional. I can see that. 5 to 7 years professional. Yep, 5 to 7 years. Where are you basketball wise, professionally, and then personally? Three. Basketball. Where are you?
Basketball, I will have hoped. I use basketball as a vehicle to get me a great education. So I am hoping to have graduated from a great university, college, establishment, whatever. Have gotten my master's, and having played for as long as I can. Just because, like we were saying before, basketball really it's more than just basketball. It opens you up to so many more people. It teaches you so many great lessons on communication, teamwork, work ethic, cooperation. So basketball is, and maybe if if I do get the chance to play overseas, I think that would be a great opportunity to play in the motherland in Poland, maybe even. That'd be super cool. Which again shows the reach of basketball and how that can bring you so many cool opportunities. So that would be cool. So that's basketball wise. You say work wise or like personal?
Work and personal.
Okay, work wise, like I said before, I would love to open up like my private practice in OT, and be able to have like summer camps for kids with disabilities. And I would love to implement, I also have a love for art, so maybe implement, like do some research on like the applications of art into honing those like fine motor skills of kids, and being able to use art as therapy. I think that would be pretty cool. So that's work wise. And personally, I think my confidence in everything has grown over my high school years, and I hope to continue that in my collegiate years and just become a more confident, like self-assured person throughout my early adulthood. And I think if I have that, then I can really do anything I put my mind to, and it'll make everything a lot easier because I'll be a lot more sure of myself. So I really hope that's that happens. So
I can see all three happening.
yeah.
Definitely playing in the motherland.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
In the motherland. All right, last one. What you got?
Let me think. Oh man, let me think. What are your thoughts on Gen Z? Like, kind of throwing back the same question at you. What are your thoughts of like this generation, since you coach kids like all different ages, like, so what are your thoughts on like Gen Z and what they're doing, like within this like political and social climate that we're in 2020, 2021?
Great question. I think that your generation, and I'm sure that every generation feels this way, but I think that your generation is on the cusp of really breaking this thing wide open. And I say wide, I mean like completely changing the whole system that we're accustomed to. That us old head generation, Generation X, are familiar.
You mean boomers?
No, I'm not a boomer. I'm an X.
Okay.
Barely, like 2 years.
You made it.
Yeah, I think your generation, obviously, largely due to your the social media platforms and the use of technology, a lot more information is out there for people. In your generation are able to ascertain that information because you grew up with a cell phone in your hand.
Yeah.
Whereas our generation, we had to learn to adapt to. You guys were part of that fabric.
Right.
And you guys are, now coming of age where you can make a change and have a real voice and a collective voice just by sending out a tweet.
Right.
Possibly you can get over 50,000 views or whatever, or likes or whatever, and then that's a rallying cry to really make a change. And I think that if you guys continue with the path that you're on, I think you guys can definitely make a change. I would suggest, and this is bigger than you or I, is that you guys continually come together, but also do a little bit more research on regarding the history of, because although things may seem like it's new, some of the stuff that is being done is taking advantage of the new technology, but at the end of the day, it's still something that's been done previously. And I say that in this regard, police brutality has always been around.
Right.
It's now more of on a global standpoint on a scale because we have social media platforms that's highlighting these type of atrocities.
Right.
And this is not a knock on anybody that's a police officer, but it's a fact that certain people are being taken advantage of by the police in some way, shape, or form, whether physically or mental abuse. So I think that you guys have to, remember the past and grow from it, and then learn how to make a change using the technology and the power that you guys have within your connectivity. Generation Z is going to be all connected with like a cell phone. Like everything's going to be connected with this 5G stuff. So I think you guys are on the cusp of really blowing this whole thing up, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important that you say that, because like you said, the reach of technology, the reach that social media and technology has, it would be wrong if we weren't vocal right now, having all this technology and having this big voice that we do now. It would be a shame if, we didn't use it for the good, for the common good, and for making a change. So.
Yeah, but it's going to come to a point we have to define what common is, because what's good for you may not be good for me as an older person. But we have to do what's right by each other, and whatever that means. We just can't take advantage of people. I just think that's bad, and I think that's why it's important that you guys continue your fight. And I know it's old heads are going to continue our fight also, but you guys continue your fight because you guys are the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.